Hey everyone, welcome to Alpha Insights. I'm Joe and Kristen's here with me. And hey, if you have questions while you're listening, drop them at stockalpha.ai.
Hi, I'm Kristen. We've got a policy-heavy weekend to unpack that could ripple through the cannabis sector once markets open. So let's jump in.
Right, big headline out of Vermont. The governor signed a law that does two major things. It raises how much an adult can legally possess, and it creates a legal pathway, at least from Vermont's side, for interstate cannabis commerce.
Exactly. On the surface, it's a big policy win for Vermont. And the real question here is how much of an operational impact that creates for companies. Interstate commerce only matters if other states opt in, and federal rules don't block the logistics.
Implementation is the tricky bit. Regulators will need to write rules, licensing windows will open, and operators will have to sort out testing, transport, banking, insurance, all the fun stuff.
Right. And to add to that, companies with coast-to-coast ambitions could benefit if Vermont becomes a hub for production or distribution. But that assumes reciprocal agreements with neighboring states. That's a big assumption.
That assumption is exactly the risk. Federal prohibition still exists, so moving cannabis across state lines touches federal transportation and banking rules. So while Vermont's law opens a door, there are a lot of locks on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And while Vermont's move grabbed headlines, North Carolina was a reminder that legalization momentum is uneven. Senators there signaled a ballot measure probably won't get a vote, which means a sizable southern market is staying closed for now.
That matters because people often model the sector's growth assuming steady state-by-state expansion. When big states stall, that slows addressable market growth and can put pressure on sentiment. It's not dramatic overnight, but it matters to multi-state planning.
Totally. So investors or anyone tracking the sector should watch two things closely this week. One, how markets react when trading resumes. Two, the rulemaking and company-level updates tied to Vermont's changes.
And speaking of markets, watch the big cannabis ETF, the Advisor Shares Pure US Cannabis ETF, as a barometer for flows and volatility. Also keep an eye on names like Tilray Brands, Green Thumb Industries, Curaleaf, and some smaller over-the-counter names like Trulieve for bigger moves.
Smaller and OTC names often amplify headlines. More volatility, bigger percentage swings. So when you see Vermont's law in the news, those names could spike or tumble depending on sentiment and any company-specific disclosures.
Exactly, and you asked about what to actually look for next. Regulatory filings, licensing windows in Vermont, any memoranda of understanding with neighbouring states, and federal updates on banking or transportation guidance. Those are the catalysts that will move markets.
Also, operational disclosures are key. Inventory levels, testing protocols, and how companies plan to handle larger possession limits, those are the knobs that affect margins and logistics.
One way to think about it, and this is where I try to simplify for folks, is policy creates optionality, but optionality becomes value only when it's executable. Vermont created optionality. Execution will take months, maybe longer.
And the cautionary note, federal law doesn't change with a state bill. Banking access, insurance, interstate trucking rules. Those federal pieces still create a hairball for companies trying to scale across state lines.
Short reactions, quick ones.
Right.
So what's the takeaway for listeners listening to the market open? First, expect headlines to drive short-term volatility when trading resumes. Second, watch ETF flows and volume in the names we mentioned as immediate sentiment gauges. And third, remember the operational and federal risks that could mute any upside.
And to add, cultural coverage is growing too. Pieces in mainstream outlets are making the conversation more mature, which matters over the long run for public perception and future policy, even if those stories don't move prices today.
Bottom line, Vermont's law is a meaningful policy step that could unlock new distribution models. but it won't change market dynamics overnight. North Carolina's setback is a reminder that progress is patchy, and that limits near-term addressable market expansion.
So sum up time. Quick bullets. 1. Watch the ETF for flows. 2. Monitor company updates and state rulemaking in Vermont. 3. Track federal banking and transportation guidance. And 4. Expect volatility, especially in smaller and OTC names.
Exactly. Those are the right things to watch. And if you want to ask us about any of this, head over to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask questions and we'll answer live. While you're there, check out more market content.
Got questions? We'd love to hear from you. Stockalpha.ai is where to go. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back with updates as markets move.